What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. And I figured it was time for me to go ahead and make a video to talk a little bit about this. I know I have some people on my channel who like this stuff. I know I have many people on my channel who are into this stuff. So figure now is a pretty good time to talk a little bit about the Seattle Mariners and my thoughts and plans for this 2026 season that starts tomorrow night, 7:10 first pitch at home, playing the Cleveland Guardians. So Mariners season starts. Obviously, I've been loosely following spring training, not as much as last year when I was actually there. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting season for the Mariners, I think. Probably a very good one as well, especially compared to the seasons this franchise has typically had over the last well, really their whole existence. And I know people might be wondering, what are my plans as it pertains to the Mariners this season? Well, I had made Mariners videos, not a lot, but sporadic Mariners videos for several years, and then last year I didn't. The main reason why I didn't last year was, funnily enough, because I was frustrated with the organization at that point because I just didn't appreciate the way the owners and the decision makers in general running the team seemed to be approaching things. And the irony, of course, is that despite that, they had maybe, I don't want to go that far, but maybe the best season in franchise history. They made it closer to the World Series than they ever have before, at least. So the irony was that for as much as I didn't appreciate the way the team was conducting their business, they still found a way to have a very successful season. Now, I will say that I don't think that undoes my frustrations with the organization, and that has persisted into this season as well. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge that somebody somewhere is doing a better job of this than I gave them credit for. And maybe they're not doing a good enough job, which is why we didn't actually make the World Series last year. It depends on your perspective. I don't think it's that black and white. But regardless, this is a very good team that is a World Series contender. And I don't want to act like I don't care just because I think the owner doesn't care as much as he should. Clearly, there's somebody in this organization that cares a lot, even if it's not necessarily the owner, which is the most important element. So, all this to say, I think I'm going to go ahead and make Mariners videos this year. And yeah. And I know people are going to be like, well, you didn't make the Mariners videos last year and they did so good, so you should keep doing that. It's like bad luck to make Mariners videos because you made Mariners videos the previous 2 years and they didn't make the playoffs. And it's like, I don't really believe in that stuff, guys, so don't give me that. I don't care about that stuff. I just want to talk about stuff that makes me happy and talk about stuff that I find interesting. So if the team ends up being good or not so good, then whatever, so be it. But I want to talk about the Mariners a little bit this year. So we're probably going to go back to the old schedule. I'll make a video every 10 games or so and just check in and see how things are going. And we'll talk about the season as it goes along. I think the team deserves that much after the incredible season they had last year. And it was a very incredible season. Just because they fell a little bit short of what we wanted doesn't mean it wasn't incredible. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I'm going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt, even though I will admit it wasn't my favorite offseason. Now, to briefly talk about the team as it stands right now, I want to say in terms of the things that were lost this offseason, I don't know if the right word is comfortable, but I do support the decisions that were made. I thought it was correct to let Suarez go. He doesn't hit well enough at T-Mobile Park, and he is getting older, so I supported that. I supported letting Polanco go as much as that could hurt us, because I think at his age and with what he is in the field as is, and his injury history, it's a bad idea to make a big investment into him being a big part of this team for the next several years. So I was fine with all that. Now, if you take a look at where the team is right now, I'm looking at this article on MLB.com, just kind of projecting out the roster. By the way, there's like a bunch of Instagram reels auto-playing on this page. I'll try to blow past it. I don't know why I can't stop it. I don't know how Instagram works. But if you look at the lineup, you've got Cal, probably the best catcher in baseball on both ends of it. And it looks like we're going to have Mitch Garver as the backup catcher. I know that this lists Kisner as the backup catcher, but it looks like Mitch is actually going to be the backup catcher, which, I mean, that's pretty strong. Mitch is a great backup catcher as well. He was just overpaid previously, but now he's not. So it's actually a pretty good setup. And I know some people might object to that, but most backup catchers are terrible. Getting Josh Naylor back on that contract was massive. That was a fantastic signing. Love that. And made me immediately feel so much better about this team, despite whatever other objections I may have. Needed to do that. We did that. So Naylor's back. That's great. One of the better first basemen out there, at least a very good one. And then you get to the rest of the infield and you wonder a little bit, right? I'll leave Brendan Donovan out of this. That was a great trade, a great, great trade. And I think he'll be really good for us. I think he'll be very valuable. I think that Donovan is going to be an important piece of what we do this season, and I'm excited for that. But then you got Cole Young, who, look, I know we like him. I like him too, but definitely an unknown there at second base. And then you got J.P. Crawford at shortstop, where, look, I'm not going to hate on his bat too much. I know that he's not some incredible hitter, and I know that we know that, and I know that we've made our peace with that. But when I look at his defense in the infield, there was definitely a big part of me that was like, okay, this offseason, can we get him moved to second base? And by the way, my understanding is that Crawford's likely going to start the season on injured reserve. So he's going to, or the injured list. So he's going to miss some time. So we're going to see how we do without him. But this would have been a great offseason to at least move Crawford to second base to reduce the pressure on his defense. And we didn't do that. You can trace some of the struggles we had struggles, and the reason why we ultimately fell a little bit short to J.P. Crawford's defense. He was a liability out there in terms of his range, and I don't think that's going to get better. It's probably going to get worse. So even if you're not going to move off of Crawford, and I'm not saying you should necessarily do that, I do think there was an argument to be made for trying to get him moved to second base, so it's a little bit easier for him to play defense. Didn't do that. And I don't know, maybe there's a plan to have Cole Young or Donovan play shortstop at some point, and maybe JP bumps over then. But as of right now, my understanding is that he's going to be the shortstop, and I don't love that. You look at the outfield, Rosarina. I kind of wanted to move off of a Rosarina because he had such a rough last really 2 months of the season. Not just the playoffs, but he really struggled. But at the same time, he is a good player. He had a good season, and I think that it's perfectly understandable to bring him back, although I am worried about that. At the same time, he may be a trade chip at the deadline. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, so that's fine. Julio's Julio. Got no beef there. And then you've got the other right field spot, and it's like, okay. Luke Raley, Victor Robles. This is what I'm talking about with this offseason. Yeah, you made the Donovan trade. You re-signed Naylor. Those were great moves. I love those moves. But you feels like you needed to do a little bit more on the infield. You needed to maybe get a second baseman that was a little bit, or a shortstop, and bump J.P. Crawford to second base so Cole Young didn't have to start opening day. And this right field thing, I don't know. Hopefully they both bounce back, or at least one of them does. But it's kind of sticks out in a not so positive way. And then you got designated hitter Canzone, sure, and he does provide a little bit of depth defensively, even though he's not any good at it. Ref Schneider, that's actually kind of exciting. He's somebody that you can send out there against lefties, and it's probably pretty good. I like the Ref Schneider thing a lot, but Canzone, hopefully. He's another guy who can easily be turned into a guy who does nothing but strike out, and that's obviously tough. And then Leo Rivas, sure, I'm down with that. Colt Emerson will probably be up at some point, so that's fine. But it's kind of what I'm saying. It feels like you could have done a little bit more to make this better, and you didn't, and you're just hoping. You're hoping that a guy like Luke Raley, who was a kind of a train wreck last year, would massively improve this year, and he can. But it feels a little bit thin for a team that has World Series ambitions. But it's a nice lineup. It's a nice setup. I don't like the infield defense that much. I think that could be a liability, but it's certainly not bad. Starting pitching, I'm worried about Castillo this year. I'm really worried about Castillo. Feels like he was starting to slip last year. Feels like it was starting to get away from him a little bit. And we know he always starts slow. Well, he didn't start slow last year necessarily, but he starts slow a lot. So, quite frankly, I'm worried that Castillo is going to kind of fall off to the point where he's a number 4 or even number 5 caliber starter this year. I'm good with everybody else. I'm high on Kirby. I'm high on Wu. I'm high on Gilbert, relatively so. Miller will get back eventually. I'm high on him. And I'm fine with Hancock as like the number 6 starter, injury fill-in guy. So that's fine. I am worried about Castillo, though. And I do think this team needs a decent season from Castillo. So a little bit shaky there. And the good news is we didn't need great starting pitching last year to have a great season. So it's not like it's a requirement. And then, of course, you have the bullpen here, Munoz, Brash, Spear. And hey, I mean, that's a nice setup. Bizzardo, Ferrer, Vargas, Legumina, Criswell. Not so sure what to think there. Like, Bizzardo was great last year, but I don't think his stuff is so nasty that he's guaranteed to be good every year. And everyone else, I feel like, can kind of, I mean, that's the nature of bullpen pitching, right? With the exception of the superstars. And I do think Munoz and in his own way, Brash are superstars. But there is a part of me that is kind of like, okay, well, what are we going to get out of the back half of this bullpen? Because we had to ride our guys pretty hard last season, and it ended up not working out great. So I hope we can do a little bit better at some point this season, maybe acquiring somebody. Okay, that's it. See you guys later. Go Mariners. I will be making Mariners videos later, but those are my thoughts as of right now. Let me know what you think. Go Mariners.